Hi everyone, and welcome to this conversation about scholarships and bursaries for boarding students. My name is Riethmuller and I went to Ascombe School on a scholarship, and I'm very excited to be joined by Fiona and Ned today. Would both of you be happy to just introduce yourselves, maybe from where you call home or called home as a boarder, what school you went to and what year you're in or what you're doing now?
So hi, my name's Fiona, and I went to Kincoppal Rose Bay in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. And I'm originally from Coffs Harbour, and I started there in Year 10, and I graduated in 2019. And moving on from there, I went to university at UNSW, and now I'm studying medicine at the ANU.
I'm from Trangie in Western New South Wales. I go to King's. I'm in year 11 and I started in year 7.
Amazing. And you've just finished an exam. Well done. But I think
Yeah.
it's important to start this conversation by just actually congratulating both of you for being a scholarship and bursary student, because I know that a lot of time and energy and effort goes into those applications. And at schools like Kincoppal and King's and all of the schools, it's a real honour to be a student who attends on a scholarship or a bursary. So I'm curious to know, maybe Ned, we can jump to you. Before starting the process, did you know what a scholarship and a bursary was? And how would you explain it to somebody now?
I had some idea what a scholarship was. I had no clue what a bursary is. And basically, all I knew from a scholarship was basically if you're good at sport, then you get some money off your school. But the way I'd explain it is, for a scholarship, like it comes down to anything, like your academics, like anything like that. It could be academics, it could be that you're good at sport. It's really good because um, it helps get better like candidates, and it helps, I guess, your parents provide you like the best education possible.
I think it's really interesting how you spoke about how your kind of first impressions of scholarships was all about sport, and how being at King's now you've really realized that it's about a lot more than just sport. So that was really cool. Thank you for that insight. And what about you, Fiona? When you were, I guess, thinking about going to boarding school, did you know what a scholarship and a bursary was at the time, and how would you explain it to somebody now?
Yeah, I had a brief idea. I was very fortunate to know someone who got the same scholarship at Kincoppal before I did. So they were sort of a person that I could contact and get some information to what a scholarship was and what it entailed in terms of applying while I'm at the school and into the future. And so when I first understood a scholarship, it was really an opportunity. And so that opportunity was to go into live in the big city and to experience an academic and extracurriculars that I've never seen before, because my school didn't have those opportunities. So when I had to sort of explain them what a scholarship is to people, I sort of say, well, it's an opportunity that people sort of extend to you. And if you are able to grab onto that opportunity, it can really change your life and open up your horizons in terms of academics, in terms of extracurriculars, in terms of sport. And it was something that I really enjoyed, that I could grab onto that and really build myself as a person in terms of all those aspects.
That's awesome. And I loved how you spoke about it as an opportunity. I definitely relate to that and think a lot of young people who are at a boarding school would feel like the whole experience of being there and, living in the big city, there are so many opportunities that come with that.
Mm.
And what about the scholarship that you received at Kincoppal? What did it involve? What was it called? What kind of made you feel like you aligned with, I guess, the mission of that scholarship?
Hmm. I was on the Alison Stevens scholarship at Kincoppal, and it was given to a rural student who showed engagement in the community. And it was slightly academic based, and so I did have to take a placement test for it. But it was also based on my financial needs as my family, and also where I was coming from rurally and how I was engaged in the community. So it was financial based, rural based, and academic based, and also engagement with the community. So when I was applying for it and thinking whether I could be the person that that scholarship was looking for, it's sort of recognizing in yourself that you have merits that make you different from other people and that you come with a story. And I think most people from a rural background and from any background come with a story, and it's being able to share that and to show that you're going to build on your story when you go to the school and get that scholarship.
Amazing. I love that. So I guess in terms of that process, Ned, how involved were you in that process? What was expected of you? You know, did you have to do interviews? Or I know Fiona mentioned that she had to do an exam. Was there anything that you had to do as part of that process? Maybe it was writing part of the application. And how did you find that whole process?
No, I think a lot of it just came down to when we actually came and had a look at Kings. I think I might have been in year 5, and I think that a lot of it just came down to like interactions with like who was touring us around the school, and sort of we had a few small connections and like within the school, and basically it was just all sort of said that, you know, like this school is probably most suited to me as a person, and I guess I'm suited to the school, and I've got sort of my small little traits that I might be able to give back to the school, and like hopefully, you know, uh, in King's perspective, it's something that like if we do give this kid a bursary, like it's going to help us in a way too. And for me, like I couldn't ask for a better opportunity than to come to this school, because it is so amazing, and having that bursary just really helped the fact. But there wasn't really a whole lot of tests or anything like that to my knowledge, no.
That's amazing. And what advice or tips would you give someone, a young person who was maybe in year 5 or in any year group, thinking about going away to boarding school and trying to, I guess, find the right school or find opportunities like scholarships and bursaries for them? What advice would you give?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask as many as you can, because while you are at boarding school, at high school in general, like you're there for a long time, and you want to make sure that that is suited to you. You sort of like, the more questions you can ask, like it just sort of, it eventually becomes apparent to what is most suited to you. Like for instance, my father, he went to Scots, and obviously I'm at King's, and it's like it's a bit of a, I guess, a tradition, or like a bit of a thing. Like you always follow your father's footsteps. But for me, it more came down to what school suited me most, and obviously that was King's. But we looked at a lot of schools, and it just comes down to what you think and what your parents think is most suited to you, your education, and what you're interested in, like in regarding your co-curricular and stuff like that.
That is such good advice. I love that. And I definitely think I couldn't agree more with everything that you said there. What about you, Fiona? Do you have any advice for people who are thinking of applying for a bursary or a scholarship?
Yeah, I would definitely just say, like what Nad said, asking questions is great to sort of feel out whether it's right for you, but also just to take the chance. Um, when I was applying, I didn't think at all that I would get the opportunity, and I took the chance, and it really paid off for me, and it's changed the how my life has played out in the last few years because of it. But having the courage and just to sort of apply is so much, and it will really open up the horizons for you. And so, yeah, that's sort of the advice I'd give.
That's really cool. And I think you mentioned before that you felt really lucky that you had someone who had received that scholarship before you and actually being able to ask them questions. So I would echo everything that you've said, both of you, and just say that if you know someone who's been at the school or who's been on a scholarship or bursary anywhere, reaching out to those people and getting an understanding from them as well is so valuable. And what about the different expectations or responsibilities? Fiona, did you feel as a scholarship recipient that there was any, I guess, added pressure on you? And did that come from, I guess, the school or your family or within yourself? I guess, with those opportunities, sometimes there are different expectations. And did you feel that during your experience at school?
I think there was definitely expectations, but I think I put those on myself. I think coming into the school, I was on a scholarship that recognized my community involvement and recognized my academic achievements. And as such, I wanted to make sure that I was a good representative of what the scholarship wanted me to be, and also what I wanted to be as a student and as a graduate. once I'd finished the being at Kincoppal. So the expectations that I sort of put on myself was to get involved and to like maximize the opportunities that I could get. And sometimes it would be, at least I gave it a go. Or sometimes I would really try to engage with it as long as possible and to learn as much as I could and get involved with the community and give back to the community as I did so. So yes, there were expectations, but I don't think that any one around me was sort of urging me to do those things. But it was definitely, I wanted to be a good representative of what the opportunities that I'd received would want me to be.
That's amazing. So just an all-round like great role model for the school, I feel, is something that you kind of feel as a scholarship or a bursary recipient is something that you feel obliged to kind of give back in that sense to the school. And what about you, Ned? Did you feel any expectations or do you feel any different pressures being on financial assistance?
So for me, I never really received any, I guess, pressure, not necessarily to do well from the school or from mum. And it more came down to myself, and it was just myself, like obviously I'm not the most academically switched on kid, but if I can give it 110% effort, I can get the most out of Kings, because without the bursary I've received, there is a small chance I might not be here. And just to have that opportunity to be at such an awesome school like this, it gives me the opportunity to uh, give to myself and give to mum, I guess, because I've received this awesome opportunity, and it just comes down to me not wanting to let anyone down. I think like something like that.
Mm, that's beautiful. And do you feel like in the boarding house, obviously you're in year 11 at the moment, so do you feel like there's ever any stigma around people who are on a bursary or on a scholarship and people who are not, or there's kind of, you don't really know who is and isn't?
Don't really know. Like I know like some of my close mates that I'm close with, like we know what each other's like on scholarships or bursaries, or if we're not, and stuff like that. But it doesn't change a thing. Like what's most important, and I think that's what also, like, just boys at Kings, like we're really and we're sort of brought up from year 7 just being really well rounded, and like sort of supporting each other no matter what that is, no matter whether they're on a 50% scholarship for rugby, or if they're not on anything at all, they could be on a scholarship for academics. It just comes down to who you are as a person. It doesn't really matter what you're paying to get into the school.
Mm, that's awesome. I definitely agree with you there. And what about you, Fiona? Did you ever feel like there was a difference between people who were on a scholarship and who weren't on a scholarship or a bursary?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Ned. There was no difference between the students that I could feel. The only times where those differences would come about would be whether we would get invited to speak at like the donor lunches and to go meet the people who had been our scholarship donors. And so those opportunities were different to what a normal day student or a boarder might get if they were not on a scholarship, but they didn't interfere with how we interacted with each other. We were very much like unaware of each other's scholarships, and we just met the person that we was in front of us, not the scholarship behind them.
Mm. And so I feel like being a boarder, I think it's obvious that both of you feel, or Fiona in your case, felt really proud to be at the schools that you were in. Do you think that being on a scholarship or a bursary made you feel even prouder in a way? Like, did you feel like there was that sense of honor and privilege? And how, I guess, how did that inspire you to make the most of it when you were at school, Fiona?
Yeah, the scholarship definitely made me proud because it sort of recognized that yeah, I could be the person that belonged to this school when before I applied, before I even considered going to boarding school, it sort of seemed very foreign and not what I thought I could be. So moving forward from that, I was definitely proud of being in the scholarship and to represent the school and what it sort of entailed. Yeah.
And what about you, Ned?
I think it's almost a bit of like a little self booster, like it's sort of because it's always in the back of your head, um, like obviously like this school and the heads of the school, like they want me here, so let's make the best out of it. So it makes you a little bit prouder in the back of your head, and it gives you a drive to do better in everything you do. Gives you a drive to do put a little bit more effort in here and there and do what's best for yourself. And yeah.
I love that. And can you think of any, I guess, specific moments or things that you do that you feel are ways that you give back to the King's community? Obviously, you've spoken about getting involved in heaps of different things. Has there been, I guess, an activity or something that you've done, maybe it's community service, that you feel like it's something that you're giving back to the school?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think when I was in year 10, we did as a year group, like really big cooks in the food tech classrooms and big cooks, and we took out to like the homeless and stuff like that, like made lasagna and stuff like that, which was an awesome way to sort of give back to, I guess, the community and sort of help those in need. And and that's another thing, like, just makes you happy about yourself that you are making impact in everyone else's lives. And like, yeah, just because King's is really big on their service learning, so there's a lot of things, I think. Also participated a little bit in uh, in a tech thing, and it was like a redoing like a garden at a homeless shelter, at a orphanage. Sorry, yeah, and being able to
Amazing.
give back things like that, and like like the service learning at King's is huge, and it's really good being able to give back to the community.
That sounds so cool. And I feel like then when you're in any community, when you leave school, you'll feel that same drive and want to give back. And I think that's something that's so powerful when you are at these schools, having that opportunity to really value the need to give back and serve your community. And what about you, Fiona? Was there any, I guess, moment that sticks in your mind that you kind of gave back, or maybe you mentored girls in younger years or anything like that?
Yeah, so giving back into the community was very much encouraged at Kincoppal. And so when opportunities arose to sort of participate in cooking kitchens through Duke of Ed programs, or to volunteer down at the junior school in mentoring, which is a program that they do in year 10, it's something that you sort of want to get involved with and give back to the other students around you and the community that's supporting you. And further on from that, just getting involved in all the extracurriculars that sort of build the community around Kincoppal and support all the other students is something that I really enjoyed getting involved with, and something that definitely has struck with me now as a graduate.
Yeah, and especially as a medical student, you'll be giving back to the community every single day. Well,
Mm.
thank you both so much for joining this conversation. It's been so nice to learn from you, and I think, so much of what you've shared is going to really resonate with the people who watch this, and especially just that essence of giving things a go, putting yourself out there and making the most of the opportunity. So thank you both so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.